Fantastic Four First Steps is here, starring Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, Eben Moss Bacharach, directed by Matt Shackman. And let's just not bury the lead. Is it worth the 20? It was for me, man. It was worth the 20. I had such a good time watching this movie. I had a smile on my face pretty much the entire time. In that respect, it reminded me of Superman. I feel like Superman was a little more fun, but Fantastic Four still was like kind of awe. Like it brought back a sense of wonder. Like, wow, this is really cool. It's got this cool sci-fi, futuristic, retro '60s, just that mixed with comic books, and it's just like this really good mix. And it kind of goes back to what Marvel used to do best, was take a genre and pump a comic book in there where there was a spy thriller or I'm blanking, but like you take the Winter Soldier, this spy thriller that like harkens back to some Robert Redford movies back in the day, and it's like still modernize it with Captain America, and it's like this perfect blend of like, wow, the espionage mixed with the military aspects and mixed with the shield being Hydra. Like that is such a cool way to tell that story. And that's how I felt with Fantastic Four, is that the sci-fi elements were so greatly utilized. And the fact that it feels a bit like Interstellar, or I guess that's the best reference point, or 2001: A Space Odyssey. It has those vibes to it that I think are really utilized very well with this movie. And this movie is a standalone thing. It almost feels like, listen, you have no homework to worry about. This is a movie you just go in. You want to see Fantastic Four, just go in. You don't need any prior knowledge of the team. You don't need any prior knowledge of the MCU. You're just opening this book. Like you're just showing up 4 years after they already have their powers and going into it. And then I thought it was interesting that Superman starts 3 years after he introduced himself to the world, and this one starts 4 years after they introduced themselves, or at least since they came back with their powers. And so I thought that was kind of a cool coincidence. Anyways, but like it's just so cool. The cast. I know people have been like highlighting certain cast members, but I just felt like, honestly, it's they all rise the tide. Like their dynamic is what works about this movie. It's not like anyone stands out beyond the rest, right? Like a Robert Downey Jr. Like it feels like they cast so well that their dynamic just works so well. It feels like they're family. It feels like they're friends, or they've been a part of each other's lives for as long as they have. And it feels meaningful. So I thought that was really great. It reminded me of the beginning of Age of Ultron, right? Like now that we had the years and all that stuff, and then we see the Avengers at partying it up, and it's like this cool, like I could take a whole movie of this. And that's kind of how I felt with this. Like you cast so brilliantly that it doesn't matter about the oncoming threat. It's like I love the dynamic between Johnny and the Thing and or Ben Grimm, and then of course I love the relationship between Vanessa Kirby and Pedro Pascal. I thought that they made that really work really well. An interesting dynamic I didn't expect them to do, but it makes them so much more interesting now. The team Fantastic Four, because it feels like they have these powers, but there's a bit of like a safety net. And I'm not gonna spoil it, but like it feels like Reed has this certain sense, like he's such a scientific mind, and he's so brilliant, and he's constantly worried about everything. Like you can see it in his face that he's just constantly thinking and thinking. And you feel that when it comes to his team, or to his family, I should say, their powers, and there's a little bit of a resistance. There's a little bit of a fear to push beyond their limits. And I feel like that's going to be the fun exploration of these characters in future outings, because it's going to be like, well, how far can they push their limits now? Because that's obvious. I feel like once the gloves come off, once the little safety, once the training rules come off, it could be really interesting, I think, and things are going to be really greatly explored after that. I don't know. I just thought that was a really nice touch, because then that gives them a more meaningful growth and expansion, rather than here's a full blown like with Captain Marvel. Where do you go with Captain Marvel after you establish that she's like the strongest person in the universe? Like when she shows up in Endgame, it's fun and all, but like once you set them up as the most powerful person, you got to start trying to figure out how to make them interesting. And I think Fantastic Four, as powerful as each character is, there's limitations set to them, so it makes it so much more interesting. It makes the storytelling more dynamic, and makes it more exciting to see them show up in other things. So that was like my favorite piece. The story was interesting. It went in a direction that I didn't expect for it to go in. Galactus was so cool. It reminded me of Godzilla. He was so cool. And then Silver Surfer, I thought she was great. I mean, that moment, you've seen the speech in the trailer, I Herald, and that moment is so awesome. She is awesome. The whole movie looks awesome. I just keep saying awesome. I should say the movie is fantastic. No, but the couple of standouts is like CGI stuff. Like and it's not even Ben Grimm. Like Ben Grimm's a CGI character throughout the whole movie. There's moments where they turn the camera on him and he looks great, but something's off with the background. You can tell, like, this is a green screen. So there's certain moments like that where the CGI or the visual effects isn't hitting 100%. I know people have been complaining about the baby. Sometimes the baby, has to be CGI. But it's not as, like, gross as the Flash when they have the CGI babies. So I don't know. So just little things like that, okay. But I like the story. It was very self-contained. It's all about the Fantastic Four. You don't need to worry about doing your homework. There is a mid and post-credit scene. The mid is the most important one. The post is just a fun little tag, reminiscent to a tag at the end of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, involving Miguel O'Hara. If you know what I'm talking about, that's kind of the vibe you're going to end up getting with this post-credit scene. But the mid is the one you want to see. And yeah, man. So I'm sitting at a 4 out of 5 stars for this one. There's a lot to like about it, a lot to digest. It's Marvel operating at their best. And the other thing is, oh, you know what? I forgot to mention about the whole, like, the casting, the fact that they made this cast and that they obviously worked on their dynamic enough to make it like this functioning family that actually felt real and you wanted to be around them. They did the same thing with Thunderbolts. Like Thunderbolts, even though some of them are Disney Plus characters, that movie, when you get dropped in, you get introduced to all these characters again, and they cast that movie so well, or they teamed up that movie so well that it just works. The dynamic works, and you buy into the teamwork, right? And I feel like that's what they really nailed with this movie, and I think that's a big takeaway from this movie. The villain, like I said, Galactus is awesome. He's a great villain. But yeah, I don't know. If you're interested in Fantastic Four, if you want some sci-fi comic book stuff, you want it to look visually awesome and see practical stuff and see them kind of operate the best way that they can, bringing this Marvel's first family to the big screen, it's worth the 20, man. Check it out.